My name is Harrison Gardner. I'm a builder, and I also help people find the skills and the confidence that they need to build their own homes. We are grappling with a chronic housing crisis, leaving a generation who are feeling completely locked out of home ownership. We need to figure this out now. We need more homes, and we need to build them within the context of a climate that is fighting for its life. Many experts are saying that the way forward is something called Modern Methods of Construction, or MMC. What I'm here to find out is whether this really is the game changer that they say it is. Traditional construction techniques are increasingly unable to meet modern volume and sustainability demands, so the industry is turning to industrialized construction, or what we call MMC. Essentially, it's a framework that outlines methods of building which boost the productivity, efficiency, and environmental sustainability of contemporary builds. MMC is regarded by many as a necessity and the future of construction worldwide. Its capacity for dramatic improvements in quality and the speed of delivery make it an obvious approach to address the problems facing the residential housing market especially. My first stop in figuring all this out is one of our foremost experts in the area, Dr. Daniel McCrum, Associate Professor in Structural Engineering at the University College of Dublin.
Most of the methods within the family of MMC are off-site methods of construction. So that's doing manufacturing away from the site in a factory and then bringing it to site and then constructing your buildings from it. They're building from 1-story up to 60-story buildings using this technique.
Wow.
The panelised construction, which is the other category, which I suppose we use the most here in Ireland, is timber frame.
Yeah.
So the wall panels, floor panels. Last year, just under a quarter of all new build homes were built with timber frame.
Wow.
So people are living in these homes already.
Brilliant.
And they don't even realise it. The quality is there.
Yeah.
You know, the same as other homes. There's no
Sure.
difference, you know.
How long is it taking to put a building up on site once all these pieces are, say, a standard house, once these pieces are made?
Talking to some of the timber frame guys, they're, you know, starting on site to finishing was 6 months.
Yeah.
They can get down to 3 months now. That's everything all in, you know.
Right.
But the structure goes up in a matter of days, yeah.
Can you explain to me why fabricating it off-site is more efficient than fabricating it on-site?
For sure, yeah. There's always that analogy of if you were to buy a car, would you expect them to arrive to your front door with all the individual parts and then make your car? You design your houses like you're designing a car. They're very specific.
Sure.
So you're using less materials, you use much less people as well. It's a much more productive way of doing it.
Daniel is making a good case, but what I need to find out is how do we do this within the context of our 2030 carbon reduction goals? And that's part of this whole process, isn't it? Like, we have to be open to learning, we have to be open to changing the way we're doing things if we're going to hit these kind of goals.
The idea is that you have to start with a mindset of adopting off-site construction from the start. So the larger companies are doing this already. Right. You know, they can see this is more important for them, more pressing for them in terms of their sustainability requirements and reducing embodied carbon. So they're ahead of the curve on it and they're doing it already.
Sure.
I think they'll become exemplars, but not just that, the supply chains are going to adapt to meet their market need.
Okay, yeah.
And when that starts to happen, I think you'll start to see more of it trickling down, you know, to the smaller builders, for example.
What's the biggest benefit of MMC? What's the reason that we should be doing this wholesale? If you were to say one thing.
I would definitely say sustainability. You know, if you look at the current picture of our built environment, so Ireland as a state, we've committed to reducing our carbon emissions by 51% by 2030. So MMC is at the heart, and it's been demonstrated. It can really get us very close or beyond that 51% reduction in terms of carbon. We don't have a choice.
Daniel really helped me understand what MMC actually is there. He really understands the urgency of Ireland trying to meet its carbon reduction goals by 2030. It's so aspirational. I really feel like I need to get on the ground and meet people in the industry who are actually going to be delivering these buildings and see what the blockers are there. Thanks for having me, Mark. Thanks for kitting me out.
No problem, Harrison.
Mark, tell me what's going on here.
So we're on a school project, a permanent modular project. We're looking at building a 3,500 square metre school.
Amazing. How long ago did you start?
So we started around the end of September last year, and kind of as planned finish is an 18-month programme.
18 months for the whole thing. Is that normal for a building this size?
Traditional build, no. Traditional build, you'll be looking at more kind of, 5 to 6 years. whereas we're cutting this down to, with design, with the kind of conception phase, down to around about 2.5 years.
Wow.
So
Okay.
halving the time.
And so where are all the components for this school being built?
All been built in Dunshaughlin up in County Meath.
Okay.
Every
Wow.
single bit of it.
Was this building built using 2D models or the
3D
volumetric?
module, volumetric.
The volumetric
Yeah,
models.
yeah.
Wow. So how big a piece, I guess,
How big
is
a
coming
piece?
in?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So roughly a module would be around about 9 metres long,
Right.
3 metres wide, and about 4 metres tall.
The size of a truck.
Size of a truck.
Gotcha. When this is all finished, what's it going to feel like?
This is a modular build, but you walk in and you come and have a look inside and you'll see that this is, you know, the real deal. It's as a traditional build would be.
To help me understand more about the potential benefits of MMC, I met with Paul Tierney, CEO of MMC Ireland. So Paul, it's brilliant for me to actually be in one of these buildings, you know, and it just feels like any other construction site.
I mean, we're building these buildings in a factory
Yeah.
at the same time as all the excavation works, all the enabling works are being done.
That makes a lot of sense. So you're getting to do two parts of the building
same
at the
time.
same time. These modules are getting built while the groundwork. That makes the time savings make a lot of sense.
Exactly, so you're saving months off it. So on a contract like this, you'll probably save 30 to 40% of a program versus a traditionally built program.
What are the benefits?
You're building safer. So you have a factory controlled environment. You're spending less time on site, less people on site, less chances of accidents happening.
Sure.
Speed, you can get more built. So homes, you can deliver more homes. Like even now using 2D panelized solution and timber frame, the average 3-bedroom house is getting built in 21 weeks.
Right.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And that isn't the best, that isn't the optimum, that's the average.
I'm very new to this, but it sounds to me like the buildings are going up faster. They're just as thermally efficient, but they cost a bit more, right? But there's this other value being the carbon footprint of these buildings. My understanding is that it is vastly better.
When you're building in a factory, waste is significantly reduced because you're building to your design. You know the size of your modules, you know the size of your panels. All your materials are ordered to suit the size that you are building. So waste is radically reduced. If you look at a stat recently published in the UK, the average waste of materials taken from site is just shy of 30%. That's 30% of the materials on a traditionally built site, taken on an average over a number of different construction projects.
Right.
It's outrageous.
Right.
If you look at what's built in a factory, like that figure is next to zero. So from a carbon point of view, straight away, there's a massive saving.
What everyone is feeling right now in Ireland is that we need more affordable homes. Does this have a part to play in this?
By building more of the same thing, the cost will come down.
I'm realizing this really is a huge change in the industry, and it's really about a manufacturing process. That's where we need to go now. We need to go and see how these things are actually made. It was lashing rain outside this morning, you know, and we're inside in this nice dry factory. The guys are working away just as normal as they would on any construction site. It's just all happening indoors. What else has changed?
There's a different method and different way of thinking of how we assemble buildings. And I think, you know, we've always, in construction, we've always looked at buildings as projects and one-off projects. And I think when we compare manufacturing in a one-off place, doesn't really work. So we have to look at it as a product that we can use in projects. So the products we have on display here is our 2D panelized product, which we've seen in next door, where we roll form that steel and create that flat pack product that can go to site. And this here then is our 3D volumetric modular product. So with 3D volumetric modular, you can do more in the factory, and I think that's where the future is.
So this area we're in here is where we roll form. So that basically brings the raw material from sheet steel into a structural stud.
Right.
So,
yeah, amazing. And it just keeps feeding it out. There's no wastage at all, huh?
There's no wastage. And the big thing about it is, I suppose, is the traceability of that coil and that origin right back from the quality process to be ensured that wherever that piece of steel goes, whether it's an education building, school building, we have a full traceability back to that coil and where it was actually manufactured.
Yeah, and one guy here has just created a whole wall in 5 minutes.
Yeah, probably even less.
Have you seen any change in who's applying for jobs now and kind of the demographics of people that are coming into work?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's gradually starting to change. It's a process we're going on. So what we do see is more of a diverse working community here. So we're really encouraging young women, young people from diverse cultures, backgrounds to really get involved here. So we see that as a big positive for the local area.
So you're bringing them to full assembly before they go out.
Yeah. So as you can see here, first fix electrical has been installed, and window installation is ongoing, tape and jointing is happening. So this module is going through the process on the assembly line. Of each trades are doing their work on it, and then it'll be wrapped and shipped to site.
And are you busy? Have you got work lined up for the next however many years?
Yeah, so
or could you handle more?
Yeah, we could absolutely handle more, and I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges the off-site sector has. So within this factory, we're on single shift. We want to be on double shift. We want to be able to scale this manufacturing process up. One of the biggest challenges around pipelines, so the whole philosophy around procurement, around planning processes has to change slightly. So there's a strategic move, I suppose, to be able to enable this method of construction to scale up.
Yeah, makes sense. There's a lot here to like, and aspects of this seem like a no-brainer. But theory and practice are two different things, obviously. And unless the construction industry really embraces MMC, can it actually make a difference? The construction sector employs something like 160,000 people in Ireland. It's pretty well known that it's not a sector that responds particularly quickly to change. It's going to be really interesting to see how the sector as a whole responds to this new method of construction. Denise, what's the feeling on the ground about MMC? Does everyone know about it? Does everyone know what this acronym means? Is it already in play? Is it already being used?
Some people will argue it's not that modern for certain elements of it. So, for example, mechanical and electrical have been using offsite successfully for many years. 2D timber frame, that's not new. That's been around for a long, long time. So the view of the industry is using it 100%. I think the newest part of the industry really is a 3D volumetric.
Okay.
That really needs assistance to mature. Okay. It does, and it needs assistance from government. It needs pipeline. The government need to assign certain percentages of pipeline to this industry to get it off the ground.
The more I think about it, and when I think about it, like it is just the next step in making our production line more efficient for buildings. It doesn't seem that big of a leap. This perception of risk around like moving into modern methods of construction, is it accurate? Is it justified?
There's going to be a risk with anything that we do new, but what is the risk of not doing it? That might be the bigger question. If we don't make the construction industry more productive, if we don't make it more appealing to certain people, so like for example, only 1 out of 10 people in the construction industry are women, and this was from a report that CIF done a number of years ago.
Right.
So if we don't attract those people, if we don't get the younger generation involved, if we don't make it more digital, then that's very much a risk as well. So yes, there are risks with changing how you've done things for numbers and for many, many years.
Sure.
However, there's also risks in not doing it.
Is it for everyone? Does everyone need to be adopting MMC right now, from these companies who are going to tender for government projects down to the father and son operations, across the country that are building people's extensions and adding on to people's homes?
Traditional isn't going to disappear overnight. There is a place for 100% for traditional. So when we look at the smaller companies, they're not going to go into 3D volumetric. It's too expensive. The factory unit itself, the machinery, getting that outlay, the changing of skills, because it's a different skill set to a certain extent, although skills are transferable. That's a big ask for an SME that might find it difficult, that will find it very difficult to go into that market.
There's a tendency to go the road we know, don't question what's worked before, but I think we may be at a tipping point. So when did this project kick off?
Yeah, we're less than 12 months on site here. We generally come in, do all the infrastructure, get all the roads and bases in place, and then we come along with our category 2, our panelised timber frame. Here we were standing between 6 and 8 houses a week, so there's about 124 units in here, so 50 15, 18, 20 weeks, all the houses are stood, and then we start closing them in.
And these are all timber frame?
These are all timber frame, yeah. They all come out of our facility down in Carlow.
Wow, amazing. Timber frame structures with kind of a masonry clad finish on the outside.
Masonry clad, but the timber frame comes insulation, structure and air tightness. So there's a lot of value in when the structure is up and it's airtight and wind tight, we can crack on with all the trades on the inside. So it takes the block of brickwork, particularly if it's raining, off the critical path, and we can deliver homes a little bit quicker.
Right, that's never slowing you down then.
Very much so. You take a pair of semi-detached houses traditionally, we can stand that in roughly a day and a half.
Wow, so it's fast.
And again, all the checks go into it before it comes to site.
Right.
So when it comes to site, it just bolts together.
Tony, can you break down for me a little bit the, I guess, order of operations for all the components, how these buildings come together in such a short time frame?
Yeah, and I think people maybe don't appreciate the amount of MMC that's probably in a home. So we've touched on the timber frame that already gives you the structure, the insulation and the air tightness. But if you look at the elevation, well, the windows come prefabricated. They're pre-glazed, the handles are on them. All the rest of the stairs is prefabricated. We use heat pumps. The heat pumps come as a box, you plug and play. The cylinders come plug and play, they're all pre-plumbed. The kitchen units, come in boxes and you just bolt them to the wall. So like pre-hung door sets. There's so much MMC that's sort of hidden to a degree. That's in most homes. Obviously we got that extra step with the timber frame and the light gauge steel, but a lot of homes would have that these days.
I understand there's a huge design element to it now as well. I guess you're using all this digital modeling as
Very
well,
much
the
so,
BIM and everything.
Again, for all the site management we'd have on site, we'd have the same numbers in the factory. Either their operators, their designers, their technicians, their logistics and all the other jobs that go with it. But again, everything that comes to site is fully coordinated in a 3D world, so all the clash detection is done because it has to be. It's all, it's all pre-planned, pre-programmed. So we know that the kitchen works, we know all the doors fit, we know the stairs works, all that sort of stuff is done in the factory. So all that problem solving is done. So when we get to site, we don't, particularly if you're going to go at pace, if you're going to stand 6 units a week or 8 units a week and there's a problem, well now, at the end of the week you have 6 problems as opposed to 1. So we get all that out and we have that peace of mind being made in a factory that we have the quality element as well. So again, you're front loading all your problems, you're solving them in a 3D world and then you're rolling it out then.
Is the whole industry on board or is there a little resistance to adapting these MMC policies?
Generally, you have a lot of support there. I think we need to do more with the same resources, so we need to be smarter in how we do things. And I think that the off-site element and that sort of security on waste and quality and all that sort of stuff, I think it's going to play a far bigger part. If we're going to, help do our piece and solve the housing crisis, it's going to be done fundamentally using MMC.
So from your side, you've moved from traditional construction methods to MMC. Is the price per house gone up for you or has it come down?
Overall, it's probably come down for us because we're an operator at scale, so we get more efficiency from our design and we're able to buy in bulk. The best way to scale the industry is the use of MMC, particularly for the larger operators. We have that guaranteed quality, we have that consistency, and then we have the speed when we come to site. Again, we have line of sight of what sites are coming and what the market appetite is and all that sort of stuff, so we can front end that. But again, for us, it's the only way. MMC is the only way. We'd never go back. We couldn't go back or we'd be reducing the size of our business considerably.
We've been talking about MMC in the abstract for a while now. It's nice to finally be surrounded by a lot of buildings that are actually using these techniques. If I didn't know any better, I never would have guessed that these were all timber frame buildings underneath. A key piece of the puzzle is having the skills available in the industry to allow us to scale up MMC methods. So I've come to the National Construction Training Centre at Mount Lucas to find out more. John, you obviously teach all types of construction here. You've got traditional skills, you've got these MMC skills here as well. Are you seeing MMC as something that's here to stay?
MMC is a game changer for the whole sector, not just the construction side of the house, but across the boards, whether supply chain. It just creates so much efficiency. It's like doing more work with less people. It's doing more work with less time. Like, it just makes so much sense. Everybody across the world, and particularly in Ireland, is fighting for people. We can't attract enough people into the country to do the work that we need. So with MMC, like I said, it's a way of getting more work done with less people, and it is going to revolutionise the whole area. Like, if we're struggling with a housing crisis, the only way we will fix that is building on scale. It's not a myth, this rapid build. It actually can be done, and I've seen it with my own eyes, visiting these centres, engaging with the industry, all the relevant stakeholders, and it's just a case that we need to get more people upskilled.
How does everyone react to the introduction of these MMC kind of technologies? You know, they're drip feeding into the industry from every angle.
The construction cycle has changed. So usually what happens is you arrive on site, you dig out the ground, you start there. Now you can actually have a job in construction working in a factory down the road that prints out these housing sections, that there's a new workforce emerging, the semi-skilled trade, that people that may not have always worked in construction but can learn the basics and can go have a job working in a factory. That also gives that lifestyle balance, that you're not, you know, nomadically traveling around the country to the next site or the next job, that you actually could have full-time employment working in construction in a factory printing MMC houses.
It feels like all the pieces are either there or close to it. But the X factor here is, of course, ourselves, the people buying the houses. How much do we know about this, and are we willing to make this change? Studies in the UK have shown that over 50% of people would be hesitant to live in a modular home. So, with that in mind, I've come to the home of the Hunters in County Sligo, a new build using MMC techniques, including modular, to see if there's anything to back this up.
Hi Harrison!
Ashley, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Thanks so much for having me. Firstly, tell me what kind of house this is, in your own words.
Okay, so this is a steel frame house, a modular house, and it was built basically in a factory.
Yeah, when you say a steel-framed modular house, I'm sure a lot of people are imagining shipping containers stacked next to each other, something very square.
Yeah.
But you would never, I mean, it's a beautiful brand new house, but you would never pick it as a house that's built differently from any other house on the street.
That's what I love about it. It's some people have different ideas about it negatively, but I think it's been really positive. 12 days roof on, you could walk in, like. Yeah, so I thought that was incredible.
You know, if you originally were going to go down the traditional route, I guess you did a bit of a design for that.
Yeah.
Did the design change much when you switched to it being a modular build?
Not too much, but the only thing you have to be really conscious of, with a traditional build, you can go, oh, actually, can I put a window over here while you're building it?
Right.
With a modular home, you have to make the decisions, a lot of decisions on paper. So you really need to sit down and plan and plan and plan. Literally one day, my brother-in-law, Alan, sent me a picture in the morning of our house basically on the back of a truck. So this one here just arrived and was put in like that.
That was a single piece?
One
that
piece.
Whole end of the house?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Did you price up the two options? Did you have an idea of the price difference between the two?
Yeah, I'd say it's probably much of a muchness. I'd say it's similar pricing.
Okay.
But we didn't, once we sort of decided on this that it was going to be faster, we just decided we wanted to go with this.
Can I ask, did you get a loan to build the house?
Oh yeah.
And was there any questions or pushback or anything about the type of house that you were building?
We did have, more questions, but we had so much information that they were really happy with it.
For most people who haven't been in a house that's been built this way, they do have fear, and they have this kind of inbuilt concern about anything that's not built out of solid concrete or solid stone.
I think when you see the quality, the precision of the building, that really reassured me. It took an awful lot of stress out. That if we had done by block, it would have been a much longer process. We're both busy working, so it was great to just, once it was up, you see, it was up. You could, that was it. You weren't worried about getting windows in, getting doors in. What the problem was, trying to be on site every day. It took all that away.
It's so beautiful. You must be delighted.
Yeah, we're absolutely over the moon.
Amazing. Is there anything, I guess, about sustainability that made you choose an MMC build over a traditional build?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think we're all really aware now of sustainability in the world, and that it's really important. So the fastness of it going up.
Right.
And then also, you're guaranteed it's an aerated home.
Right, which just means your energy usage and your bills and everything are going to be that much lower for as long as you live here.
Yeah. So it's brilliant. Yeah.
And you said some builders were stopping in to see this modular house get put together?
Yeah. So we have some friends, builders, and obviously locally everyone was talking about the modular build that was going up. So Irish people love to come up and find things that are wrong. so they were coming along, but they were really impressed impressed with the quality of the materials. Like they were going around looking at everything, and the quality of the build. So they were very impressed, and they were even saying themselves, it is the future.
There's so much that seems positive. A lot of the systems seem really pragmatic and really practical. Part of me wonders if it's too good to be true. What are we missing? What are we not talking about? I can't help wondering how accessible MMC is for smaller developers and construction companies. To get a sense of this, I met Hugh Brennan, CEO of Okulan. Maybe let's start with Okulan. Tell me a bit about Okulan and what Okulan does.
We are an approved housing body. We're a not-for-profit organisation. We were set up to deliver affordable housing for people who earn too much to qualify for social housing but still can't buy houses on the market. And as everybody knows, that's a lot of people these days.
So Hugh, tell me, what's it like for a small developer in the industry right now?
Well, the environment is actually very, very difficult at the moment for small developers, and that's why you don't have a huge number of small developers. One of the big difficulties is finance, both construction finance, but also early stage finance. So early stage finance is very difficult because nobody wants to take that risk on planning, you know. And then we've no real certainty about the supports, you know. Like organisations like us are waiting on the Affordable Housing Fund. If decisions could be speeded up on whether you're approved for that or not, that would help us hugely.
Where does the production line fit into all of that? Like you've got to figure out your finance, you've got to figure out your bureaucracy, all the paperwork and everything. And then you've got to build the thing.
So obviously we need to, you know, get planning first of all, and then we need to go to tender, and we need to get the prices from the contractor. And at that stage, you're deciding whether you're going to use an MMC product or whether you're going traditional. But there are specific difficulties, I think, in using MMC for smaller contractors like ourselves. First of all, if you don't get your decisions in a timely manner, if you're being delayed because of bureaucratic delays, that's going to affect your supplier. It's like we're waiting for a slot from the MMC supplier, you know, and if we can't give him the order and say you can manufacture for us in that slot, he's going to put somebody else in there and we're gone. But probably most importantly, we have to look at certification, and we have been approached by a number of volumetric suppliers. But when you ask them, have you got your NSAI certification? Have you got your Board of Agreement certificate? Has it been approved by Home Bond? Very often they haven't done that first, you know. And we can't buy. MMC is great for speed, and if you can get all your decisions and get your certainty in place, and you get them on site like this, it'll fly along.
It does seem crazy that it's the system isn't quite accessible for smaller construction companies yet. It's great that you're using it in the 2D form, but you know, it feels like you could be doing more, you could be delivering more houses, and more companies like yours could be delivering houses if these systems were in place. It would make things so much easier for everyone.
We feel we could. You know, that's and you know, we are great fans of modern methods of construction, you know. And as I say, we visited plants around Ireland, we visited plants overseas. We'd love to be using it more. We'd love eventually to get to the volumetric once the certification and the guarantees are right. This could be, you know, the game changer. It could be the silver bullet. We're always told there's no silver bullet in building, and you know that more than anybody, you know. But it certainly could be. It could be one of them.
Everyone that I've met so far seems to think that MMC is the way forward. And when everyone is saying the same thing and it's not happening, it makes me question why it's not been taken on. So what's stopping us moving towards MMC? I think when most of us hear the word modular and standard, we imagine rectangles and boxes stacked on top of each other. But you can see from a place like this that MMC doesn't really seem to have any limits. It's really been emphasized that standardization is the key to making buildings more efficient. But it's also sounds a little bit like the death of design when it comes to what a building can look like and what a space should feel like and how we interact with the space. What does that feel like from your side?
Yeah, it's a really emotive word, I think, for designers, standardization, and it can trigger fear that their role will be somehow diminished, because a designer's, core ability is to drive better spaces, to be creative, to create, more holistic environments that connect with nature. So the word standardization sometimes feels in opposition to those ambitions.
Yeah.
But in reality, what we're talking about are very small tweaks and changes. We're not talking about everything looking the same, everything being boxy. We're actually just talking about simple dimensional tolerances. So walls, let's have them all the same thickness rather than having them, 15 different wall types.
Right.
Rather than having 32 different bathroom dimensions, why don't we just create 3 typologies and repeat those?
Okay.
So it's not so much a sense that our built environment needs to be standardized. It's just the techniques at a design level, at a detailed level, that we need to be quite careful that what we're designing can be manufactured on repeat, because that will allow us to invest in manufacturing. A manufacturer will struggle to make their product viable if it's a different product every time, even just by a few millimeters.
It makes total sense. The thought that's coming to my head there is that I guess I am still a little worried that are we getting to a point where it's just, would you like a small, medium or large bathroom?
I think it's maybe changing the mindset that standardization that happens to enable manufacture is not always visible. It's sometimes not the skin, it's the bit behind the skin.
Right.
It's the structure. And very often you never ever see the structure of your build.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried.
Sure.
I'm a designer
Yeah.
at heart, and I'm really not worried about the impact of standardization on design quality. If anything, I see it as an enabler for design quality. It pushes designers to think outside of the box.
Right.
It takes them out of their comfort zone. And I think the profession needs a rethink in that regard, to think, well, what can we do to add value in a world that demands prefabrication because it's necessary, because otherwise we simply won't be able to scale what we need to do in construction, be that housing, hospitals, schools, commercial buildings. All of these have to be built to enable society to thrive. Interestingly, we have a couple of developments at the moment in our portfolio where one is, for example, traditional construction, and the other is MMC, and they're very, very similar typologies and and aesthetically quite similar. The difference with the traditional project is that they didn't engage with the supply chain and the main contractor until maybe 2 months before construction. On the MMC project, they engaged almost a year in advance. Now, both projects had the same design period for the designers, so it was still a year lead-in time to these, large constructions, but a differing in engagement time. 6 months in, the project that is traditionally constructed is propped from the top down, and they're pouring concrete. The project that adopted MMC technologies like precast and bathroom pods and unitized facades, they're installing kitchens.
Right.
So that's a huge difference in speed, in cost efficiency, and also in terms of reduction in waste of design time.
And that's just by bringing more people to the table earlier.
Yeah. And it doesn't cost more.
Sometimes you need inspiration. You need to be shown how it's done. And not for the first time, Sweden has been thrown up as a role model. It's got a larger population than Ireland, but it faces the same problems generally. I've come to Stockholm to see what they've done and how it's worked. Thanks for having me in Stockholm.
Yes.
I'm over here because Sweden is really seen as the example of housing, and housing in a lot of ways across Europe and around the world. And I wanted to come here and talk to you about why that is, how you got here, and what started that process.
It was an initiative from the government to build 1 million homes in a short period of time, because there was a really lack of shortage of housing in Sweden.
So how long did it take to build 1 million homes?
From 65 to 74 was the program up for.
In 9 years?
Yeah.
Built 1 million homes in 9 years.
And there was not that many modulars building then.
Really?
There was more prefabricated and like a more industrial production process.
Yeah. So not modular as in the whole building, but you're creating panels. You were doing off-site construction.
Yes, off-site and on-site.
Right.
So I think the combination was a start.
Yeah.
And I think it's still a big part of a combination. I think it's hard to not have that. But to minimize the production on site.
And so that way of thinking really, I guess, took hold here during that program. And that was to produce a lot of houses very quickly. Right? That was the motivation behind it.
And then also increase the standard and the quality for people to live.
Yeah.
So it was a big focus on to live in a good environment, a good housing standard.
Right, so it wasn't just we need 1 million boxes to put people in, we need 1 million homes, and kind of, I guess, increase the standard of living at the same time.
Yes.
From everything I've been learning along this journey, off-site construction is a more efficient way of building buildings, both from a time point of view and from a energy point of view. And I just wonder what that role of sustainability has been in Sweden.
Being able to construct and measure and be more precise in the design process, we know today that is an important part of also being able to construct something that is more climate or towards net zero.
You mentioned social responsibility earlier, and what you're talking about here, how the local government together with the developers are working together to create this plan that is kind of putting social responsibility like quite high up there as a priority. You know, there were probably more profitable ways to build houses, but that wasn't the main priority here.
If you build in safety and good social qualities, it will be more profitable for the society in the long run. So it's always, you need to always remember the social responsibility and the economic and the environment responsibility need to work together. It's not one of them, it's always all three.
There's a lot to learn here from how Sweden is doing housing. What really stuck with me after my chat with Sophia there is this collaborative approach they're taking to solving their housing crisis. And also this notion of social responsibility when it comes to developing communities and developing the housing that those communities are going to need. And maybe that's the biggest hurdle we've still got to jump here. This linear model we've had so far to housing needs to transform into a much more collaborative approach. But even with the right skills, demand, and industry buy-in, what else has to happen to fully unlock the possibilities of MMC and to replicate the best parts of the Swedish system? Look, it sounds like all the pieces are in place for this to be a huge success. There's the people who want the houses, there's the people who can make the houses, there's the people who can design the houses. What's missing? Like, what needs to change at almost a policy level for this to be really implemented in Ireland?
The key realisation from government is that there are several departments that have to work together to lead by example through public procurement and show what MMC can do. That requires a very joined up approach across government, and that is understood. The challenge, I guess, is that we do have a fragmented construction industry with so many micro firms and who are up the walls with work, who are already stretched and looking at day-to-day business. How do we get those firms to look at MMC, to reorientate their processes from using their same established supply chains and people they may have worked with for years, because some of these are family businesses or owned for generations. How do they create the time and bandwidth and the focus away from day-to-day running of their business to embrace MMC and adopt it. Now, some of that will come through those sort of mandates. If they understand that this is good for business, that and are supported to make that transition, that's what will drive a behavioural change. Because otherwise, there is so much work going on right now, just doing what you're doing. But we can't keep doing what we're doing if we are to produce housing at the pace and quality and sustainability that the nation needs.
MMC is coming at the perfect time because we've got problems right now that we don't have better solutions for. We need houses faster than we can deliver them, and we need to deal with the waste coming from the construction industry. MMC is offering a solution to both of those problems. Whether it's the solution, whether it's the solution we're going to be using in 20 years is hard to know, but it's a step in the right direction, and it's a lot more than anything else I've found so far. I came into all this with a pretty basic idea of what MMC actually is. And the deeper I went, the more I understood how intricately linked it is to these much bigger problems that we're trying to solve, of housing security and climate change. It's going to take a collective action from across the whole construction ecosystem, including the public and the private sector, to really give MMC a fighting chance. The problems that we're facing right now aren't going to go away on their own. And from everything that I've seen, MMC feels like a safe enough place to start. With the world the way that it is right now, we can't afford not to try.